Imagine you have a monster living in your house. Not a scary monster with sharp teeth and loud roars. A quiet monster. A polite monster. A monster that sits in the corner and doesn't bother you most of the time. But every single month, on the same day, this monster opens its mouth. And you have to feed it. A handful of coins. A stack of bills. Money you worked for, money you earned, money you wanted to use for something fun. You feed it. It closes its mouth. And you forget about it until next month. Now imagine one day, you go to feed the monster and it's gone. Not hungry. Not sleeping. Gone. Vanished. The corner where it used to sit is empty. You stand there holding the money in your hand. You look around. The house is quiet. The monster is gone. And for the first time in 15 years, you don't have to feed anything. That's what paying off your house feels like. Not a party. Not fireworks. Just silence. And then, after the silence, something amazing happens. Today, we're going to talk about what that something is. Not the boring math. Not the bank stuff. The real thing. The thing that changes how you feel, how you think, and what becomes possible when the monster finally leaves. Let me tell you a story about a man named Elon. Elon had a house. A nice house. A house with a yard, a kitchen, and bedrooms for his family. He loved his house. But every month, the house asked him for money. A lot of money. Money that could have bought vacations, or new bikes, or ice cream for years. Elon didn't think about it much. He just paid. Month after month. Year after year. 15 years. That's 180 months. That's 180 times he opened his phone or his computer and sent money to the house. Now, imagine carrying a backpack. At first, it's light. You don't even notice it. But every month, someone puts one more rock inside. One rock. Just one. Not heavy by itself. But after 180 months, that backpack is crushing you. You forget it's there. You get used to it. You think, this is just what walking feels like. This is just what life feels like. That backpack is the mortgage. The payment you make every month without thinking. And the rocks are all the years you carried it. Now imagine someone reaches into your backpack and pulls out all the rocks at once. You stand up straighter. You walk lighter. You didn't realize how heavy it was until it was gone. That's what happens when the house stops asking for money. The backpack empties. And you can finally stand up straight. Elon used to need a certain amount of money every month just to keep everything from falling apart. Food, lights, water, car, and the house payment. That number was his floor. The ground beneath his feet. If he earned less than that number, everything shook. If he lost his job, everything collapsed. After the house payment disappeared, the floor dropped. Not by a little. By a lot. The money he used to feed the monster every month was now free. $2,200. Every month. That's like getting a raise without doing any extra work. Now, imagine a trampoline. When the floor is high, you're close to the ceiling. You can't jump. You can't bounce. You're cramped. When the floor drops, the ceiling feels higher. You have room. You can jump. You can try things. You can land without hitting your head. That's what Elon felt. Not rich. Not suddenly wealthy. But room. Space. Air. The kind of space you don't notice you're missing until you have it. But here's something important. Elon noticed something strange. The first week, he felt amazing. The second week, still good. The third week, something crept back. A little pressure. A little worry. Not about the house, but about other things. The car. The kids. The future. Because Elon learned something that most people don't realize. Paying off the house is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a different one. Let me explain something using a river. Imagine money flows through your life like a river. It comes in from your job, and it flows out to pay for things. Food. Lights. Car. House. Fun. The river has been flowing the same way for years. You know where it goes. You don't have to think about it. When the house payment disappears, the river suddenly has more water. But rivers don't like to be full. They like to flow. So the water will find somewhere new to go. It will spill into new places. A new car. A bigger TV. A vacation. More restaurants. The water doesn't care where it goes. It just wants to move. This is the trap. This is where most people get stuck. They pay off the house, and then they let the river find its own path. And a year later, the river is flowing just as fast as before, just to different places. The backpack is lighter, but somehow, they still feel heavy. Elon decided to do something different. He decided to build a dam. Not a dam to stop the river. A dam to guide it. To send the water somewhere useful. Somewhere that would help him later. He took that $2,200 every month and sent it to a new place. A secret garden. A place where money could grow like trees instead of flowing away like water. Most people don't do this. Not because they're bad. Because no one ever showed them how. The river has been flowing the same way for so long that they don't even think about where it's going. They just let it go. Elon decided to think about it. And that one decision changed everything. Let's talk about the secret garden. Imagine you have a garden in your backyard. Every month, you plant one tiny seed. Just one. It doesn't look like much. A seed in the dirt. Nothing happens for a long time. You water it. You wait. You wonder if anything is actually growing. But under the ground, the roots are spreading. The seed is becoming a tree. And trees do something magical. They make more seeds. They grow fruit. They create shade. They get bigger and bigger until one day, the tree is producing more seeds than you could ever plant yourself. That's what investing is. Every month, Elon took the $2,200 that used to feed the house monster and planted it in his garden. Not in a risky place. In a simple, boring, steady place where money grows over time. And here's the math that sounds like magic but is actually just math. $2,200 every month, planted in a garden that grows at 7% a year, becomes almost $700,000 in 15 years. Not from working harder. Not from getting lucky. From planting seeds where the river used to flow. Elon didn't become rich overnight. But 15 years later, he looked at his garden and saw trees. Trees that produced fruit every year without him doing anything. Trees that gave him options. Trees that meant he didn't have to work if he didn't want to. Trees that meant his children would have a different life. Most people never plant the garden. They let the river flow wherever it wants. And 15 years later, they have memories of nice things, but no trees. No garden. No secret source of fruit that appears every year without them working. Elon planted. And that was the difference. Something else happened to Elon that he didn't expect. Something inside his head changed. For 15 years, Elon's job had a special kind of power over him. Not because his boss was mean. Not because the work was hard. But because the house needed to be fed. Every month, that monster opened its mouth, and Elon needed to have money ready. So the job was not a choice. It was a requirement. When the monster left, something shifted. Elon still needed money. He still had to pay for food and lights and life. But the biggest, heaviest, most urgent requirement was gone. Now, when Elon went to work, he asked himself a different question. Not can I afford to leave? But do I actually want to be here? That question changed everything. Some people pay off their house and realize they love their job. They stay, but they stay differently. With more joy, less pressure, more freedom. Some people realize they've been tolerating things they never needed to tolerate. They leave. They try something new. They take a risk they couldn't take before. Neither answer is wrong. But both come from the same place. Freedom. The kind of freedom that comes from knowing that the biggest chain is broken. The monster is gone. And now, your work is something you choose, not something you're trapped by. Now I have to tell you something important. Something that sounds strange but is very real. Elon owned a house worth a lot of money. But most of his money was inside the house. Inside the walls. Inside the roof. Inside the floor. He could not spend it. He could not use it to buy groceries. He could not use it if something went wrong. Imagine having a giant jar of cookies. But the jar is sealed shut. You can see the cookies. You know they're there. But you cannot eat them. That's what it means to have money in your house but not in your pocket. Elon realized something important. The house was the floor. The foundation. The safe place to stand. But the garden was the food. The garden was what would feed him later. The garden was what would give him options. So he didn't stop building. He didn't stop saving. He didn't stop planting. He just changed where the seeds were going. For 15 years, he planted seeds in the house. Now, he planted seeds in the garden. And that's the secret. Paying off the house is not the finish line. It's the starting line. It's the moment when you can finally stop building the floor and start building the rest of the house. The rooms above. The windows that let in light. The roof that keeps out rain. The garden that feeds you forever. So here's what I want you to remember. There's a monster that lives in most people's houses. A quiet monster. A polite monster. A monster that eats money every month without you even thinking about it. One day, that monster can leave. And when it does, you have a choice. You can let the river flow wherever it wants. You can fill your life with new things that feel nice but don't last. Or you can build a garden. A secret garden where money grows into trees that feed you forever. The people who build the garden are not richer than everyone else. They are not smarter or luckier. They just made one decision differently. When the monster left, they didn't let the river find its own path. They guided it. They planted seeds. They built something that would last. And years later, while everyone else is still running on the treadmill, they're sitting in the shade of the trees they planted. Eating fruit they didn't have to pick. Living a life that feels light. Because the heaviest weight is gone. And now, they can finally stand up straight. If this story made you think differently about money, about houses, about what really matters, I want you to do something. Write in the comments. One thing you would plant if the monster left your house tomorrow. Not to impress anyone. Just to imagine it. To see it. To know what's possible. And if you want to understand more about how money actually works, not the fake version, but the real one, subscribe to this channel. Because here, we don't just talk about numbers. We talk about the invisible things that shape your life. The monsters. The gardens. The seeds you plant today that become trees tomorrow. See you in the next video.